Good afternoon, and welcome to Jeff and the Rabbi. You know, world conflict can easily be explained, like most things, by studying SEC college football. Let's say for some remote, implausible example, the University of Tennessee football team became a huge powerhouse and a menace to all other SEC teams. I know it's kind of nonsensical, but go with me here. This would cause huge anxiety down on the plains of Auburn. They would all gather in their barns and their trailers and discuss how they could crush this unlikely gridiron ascendancy. You would think that these two forces would do everything in their collective powers to destroy each other. But one thing, and one thing alone, would eventually rally them to their fellowship: the University of Alabama. As much as Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU hate each other, they will always band together in their hatred of my alma mater. It's just something that is innate inside of each of them. They can't understand how all of the SEC teams play Alabama with their best plays and intensity, but the tide just keeps on rising to the top and winning. This is the state of geopolitics today in the world. The Muslims, through migration, invade almost every country in Europe. They have no intention of assimilating with the local culture and demand that their host countries alters their way of life toward Muslim ideals. This, in turn, causes a rise of the dangerous far right to try to halt the spread of Islam. But in the end, these two angry movements come together against the one group that they hate more than each other: Israel and the Jews. The Jews are the crimson tide of the world. With a common hatred of Nazis and Muslims alike, we always seem to ascend to the top. Roll, Chide, roll. Oof. It has been a long time since the children of Abraham have had a Nick Saban to guide them, but I hear that one is coming fairly soon, and maybe we will finally get the ring that we deserve. Rabbi, does the Torah explain the origin of this generational alignment of haters toward the Hebrew people? And will we eventually conquer all these adversaries and take home the ultimate trophy?
You know, I'm amazed because I never really looked at it in SEC terms.
I can't see how you haven't.
Well, although I do have to say, compared to some of the other things that you've come up with, this one is certainly more benign.
It's benign.
If I have to take anything, and I'll take.
I might offend some Big Ten people or some Pac-10 if there are any fans of them still left. But that's it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the truth. This goes way back. This goes
even
way
before
back.
Bear Bryant days.
Yeah. It goes way back, even before the SEC.
Right.
These two have been around for a long time, and they actually have been fighting with each other for a long time too. And there's been historically huge clashes. The Muslims almost took over Europe.
Right.
They're fighting. They're bitter enemies with each other for over Spain and
Right.
everything for a long time. But the interesting thing is, here we are nowadays, and we just recently had what brought all this to mind: the Pittsburgh shooting.
Right.
And I was thinking, a year ago we were having a security meeting at the synagogue. And we were talking about hiring security guards and where to place them and all that stuff. And everyone was thinking that we were hiring guards to guard us from Fanatic Muslims. Then we had another meeting, right? And same meeting, and hiring the guards and where to place them and all this stuff. But now we're protecting ourselves from Nazis.
Wait, but did he decide to put the guards in different places based on the Nazis versus the Muslims? Or no?
Right. And everything's the same, It's
Right.
just like, who's the bad guy? So I'm starting to think, what is this with the bad guy? And then you think about it, the Nazi guy is worried because the other people, these outsiders, are coming to take over his country. Like who? Like the Fanatic Muslim guy would be a perfect example of the outsider that he doesn't want to take over his country with all that stuff. So then I'm thinking, okay, great. So they hate each other, these guys. So why don't we just arm them both to the hilt, give them as many rounds as they want, put them out in the field somewhere and say, go at it, guys.
I love it.
Take each other out.
Good idea.
Here they seem to find common cause in only one thing. Either way, I've got to have a security meeting to figure out how to protect myself against both of them, right? And it's really difficult too because they're very different. So the way you protect yourself against one isn't necessarily the way you protect yourself against the other because they operate differently.
Right.
So what did I do to try to figure this out? Guess.
Well, I like your first idea, so you lost me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You got me at a low.
So
I like
what
that.
do you think? How am I going to figure out what's going on with these guys? How am I going to understand this?
2 different security guards.
Yeah.
One a Nazi and one a Muslim.
Yeah.
And let them take care of the other one when they come in.
So we have to figure out what's going on here to try to understand this. And how do I make sense of all this? I open the Torah.
Something unique for
there
you.
There you go. Open the Torah. And in it, I found a fascinating thing, especially right now in these weeks, we're reading Torah portions. There are 2 characters that show up a lot in the Torah. They're from the family, but they're sort of outcasts from the family.
Yes.
So number 1, we meet Ishmael, first son of Abraham, who, when Isaac was born, Sarah, Isaac's mother, says, you got to get rid of this guy because he is not playing nice with my son. And she thought her son was going to get killed. So they cast out Ishmael. But he's out there. He didn't get killed or anything. He's out there. He's out there, and he's still running around, and he lives by, he's an archer.
Right.
And, that's the way he lives. Now you got another guy. And he is showing up in this week's Torah portion, and he is Ishmael's and Isaac's sons, which would be Ishmael's nephews.
Right.
There's twins, Jacob and Esau. Oh, Esau's a new guy that shows up. And we learn a lot about him also. And Esau gets a blessing. He lives by the sword. And Esau wants to kill Jacob. Now, Ishmael wanted to kill Isaac, who's Jacob's father.
Right.
Okay? And it's really interesting that then Esau, when Jacob goes to get married, Esau goes to get married also, and he ends up going to Ishmael, and he marries into that family. So you got the family here of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right.
And then you've got all of their extended family.
Right.
Which is, and pretty close.
Cousins.
Extended is really close cousins, right children of the same.
Well, they're marrying into each other, so pretty close.
And you got Ishmael
They
and
did that in
Esau out
Alabama
there.
as well, but go ahead.
Right.
It's similar.
So you got Ishmael and
Right.
Esau there. And the Torah talks a lot about them, spends a lot of time on understanding them. So it seems as though you got Ishmael on one side, you got Esau on the other side, and in the middle you got the Jews, you got Jacob.
Right.
So that already tells us, something's going on. So now what is the difference between these two? They both have a real gripe against the Jews. Ishmael is a gripe against the Jews because he got tossed out.
Kicked out, right?
He's
the older brother.
He should have been the oldest son. He should have been the heir to the Abrahamic lineage.
Right.
But he got tossed out. Oldest son of Isaac is Esau. He should have been the heir to the Isaac lineage, but he got booted out by Jacob. They both have a gripe. But they're really, really different, these two. They're really, really super different. And actually, in the Kabbalistic works, in the book called the Zohar, which is sort of the Bible of the Kabbalah, it actually says that really the nations of the world can be divided into 2 loose groups. The Esau-oriented groups and the Ishmael-oriented groups. Loosely. And both of them, when they get on their fringes, that means they get to the most extreme, that's where they both cause trouble. You see, when they're more in the middle of the spectrum, they might be to this side, to that side, but they don't cause too much trouble. But when they start getting out on the edges, and they start getting extreme, then they start getting to be real troublesome. So who are these guys? So on the one hand, you got Ishmael. Ishmael's described in the Torah as a wild man.
Right.
He's a wild man. He's all over the place. He acts impetuously. He is sort of like crazy. His weapon is the bow and arrow. Why the bow and arrow? The bow and arrow is because you shoot the bow here, and the arrow goes way over there. He gets involved in all kinds of stuff, all over the place.
Okay.
And that's what the Torah says about him. His hand is in everything, and everyone is in him. It's very interesting about those Ishmaelites, like today. Where are they located?
Well, in the Middle East for the most part, but then they've kind of
It's sort of like
migrated
everywhere. Right? They're sort of like everywhere,
Yeah.
right? They're showing up pretty much everywhere. And when they get on that radical bent, they get mixed up in everything, they're involved in everything. And if they're angry and they're mad, they are causing like a lot of turmoil all around the world. Okay? They are not interested in like a superiority. I don't think that they feel that they are superior. They think they got the right message and their religion and all that. But they're not sort of like of the feeling that they're super people. As a matter of fact, they would really like to assimilate all people into them.
Right, no, very
You
clear.
know, they come into a country,
Very clear.
yeah, take it over, and like, you now become us, right? They really want everybody to
So
be
they're not like standing out. You can't be us. We
Right.
want you to be us. I
That's
think-
right. That's right.
Right.
That's their thing. Now go the other direction. You get the Esauites. The Esauites, they're truly like what we identify as Nazis,
Oh.
right? They are superior, right? Their symbol is the sword. They live by the sword. Their big thing, and it's interesting, in the Torah, it talks about Ishmael's big thing is theft. Esau's big problem or bugaboo is murder. Now, what does that mean? What's the difference between being a thief and a murderer?
Well, I mean, well, there's a difference, but I don't. There must be a difference.
Well, if you're a thief, your problem with the other person, your problem is
right. You want what they have.
You just want what they
Right.
have. I can't keep my hands to myself.
Right.
I can't. He's got it. I want it. Right. I don't necessarily want to kill him. I just want to, like, I'm everywhere. Like,
Right.
keep your hands to yourself. Right. Put your hands in your pockets. What do you do?
He's taking
No,
it.
no, no. I'm taking. Right. Just like he doesn't know boundaries. Okay. Now, on the other hand, go to the Nazi guy. The Nazi guy is really, they are all about the rules and the regulations. They are superior. The superior white nationalists, white, whatever they are, Aryans, superior. We got it, and they are also angry. They're angry because everyone is, they don't tolerate anyone. They have zero tolerance for everyone. They want to stomp on people. They don't want to mix other people into them. No way. They don't mind standing on other
They
people.
want to be under my boots. Yes.
Yeah, right. They'll
So they want-
stand them. They'll stomp them down, or they'll eradicate them if necessary. But they're not interested in mixing. No. No, we don't want you. We want purity. I don't want any outsiders. I don't want any purity. They would hate they would hate the Muslim. They don't want him.
Right.
They may tolerate him if they can use him, but they certainly don't want him. He's some inferior being. As a matter of fact, everybody's inferior to them. And they really, really hate the fact that people are coming to dilute their purity.
Right.
That's why they hate the immigrant and the stranger. They hate everybody. They just hate. When Muslims get fanatic and they go to cause trouble, they're all over the place. They're unpredictable. When Nazis get fanatic and they go to cause trouble,
Pretty predictable.
they build concentration camps. They build with okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to round them all up. We're going to take them to transfer centers. We're going to put them on trains. The trains will run at such and such a time. Everything organized will come in. We'll put them in. We'll exterminate X number a day. We'll have our quotas. Everything. Matter of fact, someone told me that he visited Auschwitz. He said the most chilling thing to him in Auschwitz was, went into an office there. And in the office, they had the architectural plans for the building of the concentration camp.
Right.
And it was signed by an architectural firm because they bid it out. And an architectural firm in Berlin had won the bid. And they signed it at the bottom like you do, and you submit any drawings and all that. Right. And he said, these aren't just a bunch of guys that ran out with guns and started shooting everyone. They had a plan, and they put it out to bid, and they got it. They reviewed, right? Like any other project that you have to do. You would never see Muslims doing that. No. That's just not them.
Totally different.
But the Nazis, of course, we're superior. We have to. Let's do this in an organized fashion. Okay, we'll have everyone killed by noon. Okay, then we'll take a half-hour break for lunch, and then we'll go back and we'll kill the other group. After lunch or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, they're totally different. These people, the Muslims really, really only get uptight when people come in their land. then they really, really dislike. This way we have the biggest problem with Muslims and Jews right now is because the Jews are sort of like getting in their space.
Right.
But if they would like go somewhere else, they'd be okay. Now, of course, the Nazis, they just don't want there to be Jews. Like this guy didn't say, when the guy went into Pittsburgh, he didn't say, I want all the Jews to leave America.
Oh, he doesn't want
He
to.
said, I just want to just kill them. I just want to kill whoever I can kill. I want to kill.
All Jews
because
must die.
They must die because I can't have them around, right? Then with our superiorness, we just cannot have them around. These are two things that are on either side of Israel. And Israel is trying to like work its way through the world, dealing with both of those two types of craziness on either side of them. And their job is to navigate through the two of them, to navigate down the middle, and to show, no, we're not superior because we're working for God. Right? That's the one thing. We work for God. And therefore, it's not about being superior, right? We work for God. We're doing His work. So we're not like Nazis. On the other hand, we're not like crazy, fanatical Muslims that we respect other people. We respect other property. Matter of fact, a big part of the Torah is showing respect for other people and their property. And keep your hands to yourself. We are very much obligated by. You can't move a border. You can't encroach on someone else. We respect other people. So we have to struggle against these two, and those two are always trying to pick on us. That is why we have these stories in the Torah. That's where these stories come from.
Right.
And that plays out. And you'll find in the world, you can kind of divide countries into one or the other loosely into one or the other of those groups. There are the countries that are the sort of like loose, freewheeling, disorganized, and sometimes prone to outbursts of violence.
Yeah.
And then there's the organized countries that are very proper and very structured, and sometimes they're also prone to their violence. But when their violence comes about in a whole very different manner.
Right. And of course, and as you said, the only similarity is, and I'm thinking of those countries now, they all hate the Jews.
They all hate
in
the
different
Jews.
ways, but they hate the Jews. And
That's
for different
right.
reasons, but they hate the Jews.
That's right. And the job of the Jews is, just like it says in the Torah, to work your way through them, just like Isaac has to deal with his brother Ishmael, his half-brother Ishmael, so does Jacob have to deal with Esau. And in the end, it's really interesting. In the end, they may really come to fight each other, or they actually, in the end, may make common cause and try to go against the Jews. In which case, that's going to be really bad, but we'll hope that will be the end and the last battle. It's hard to predict what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
So you're not good at predicting. You're
No.
not good at predicting. You don't want to call it. You don't want to give your.
I know how it's all going to end.
But you're not
It's all going to
sure.
end up good for the Jews in the end.
So the national championship, you just can't get through the playoffs, and you can't
That's
tell us
right.
who's going to play
That's
who
right.
and where it's going to end
That's
up.
right. It's a little too tricky. But the
That's
bottom
right.
line is that for us, the reason the Torah talks about these people so much is that we need to know them and understand them. Because different times in different places, we're going to be, many times the Jews spent a lot of time working through Muslim lands, and many years and centuries working through Christian lands. And now that we're in this phase now, we're kind of dealing with both. And there's a lot that's very loose and very mixed, amorphous borders and a lot of shifting. And but it's so interesting that the two are sort of clashing with each other, and yet the perennial victim will remain the same.
Will remain the same. So your theory is then, horrible what happened in Pittsburgh, but there's many things you can do. You can have prayer service, you can do whatever, but the Cincinnati can be next, and
Right.
Paris can be next, and it's not gonna different.
And it's not, and those that are looking to point the blame, everyone was very, very predictable on all this.
But they were.
Guess what happened after the Pittsburgh shooting? Everyone attributed the cause to whatever it was that they stood for before the shooting.
Right.
Right? That's pretty much what happened. So if you're a Democrat, Trump was at fault. If you're a gun control person, it's the guns were at fault. If you're a guns right advocate, it's they should have had more guards in the synagogue. And on it, you name
But
it.
if you're a rabbi, it was Esau.
That's right. If you're a rabbi, it was like, hey, this goes way
Not
back,
surprised.
all the way back to the Torah, right? It's that every group reacted in their own appropriate way. If you
Right.
believe in more interfaith relations, then the way to deal with this is have more interfaith relations. If you're a solidarity person, more solidarity, and everyone.
Wow.
Whatever you are and whatever you believe in, that's what you want more of. So, guess what? If you're the rabbi, you say study the Torah more and go to the synagogue.
And you
more.
would have figured it out anyway, and
Yeah,
it would work.
that's right.
Well, you've helped explain the sixth grade to me a little bit. Now I get it. I think that was more of an Esau situation.
That's right.
Now I understand a little bit more.
Yeah, sometimes you find out there's some Esau's, there might be some Ishmaels there in the class
Ishmaels
too.
in my class, but it was a lot.
Yeah, okay, so you lived in an Esau neighborhood.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
more of an Esau neighbor. Now I get it. Now I understand.
Right.
God, I thought it was me. All right, I get that. Now I feel clear. I mean, my understanding of that. I'm still not really sure. You're not going to be predicting the national championship though this year.
Yeah, I don't know. The only problem I'm having is that
Right.
Saban
Right.
rhymes with Laban.
Okay, well,
So it makes me a little like,
Okay, well, other than that, I still think we have a good
shaky
shot.
about that.
We still have a good shot, though.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting. I learned a little bit today.
Okay.
I like to learn something every day. This is good. So next week we will be
knows?
back with who knows what's going. It's a
Probably
very fast.
We'll have the post-election edition.
But it's a fast news cycle. That's Tuesday, and by by next week it could be suddenly. By
Right.
Monday it could be suddenly something different.
That's right.
But we'll see you next week on Jeff and the Rabbi.